Welcome to Doxxed, the podcast.
In this episode of Doxxed, the podcast, hosts Jane and Roxy discuss the 2022 Netflix documentary, Orgasm Inc, The Story of OneTaste. OneTaste was a Bay Area startup founded by Nicole Daedone that gained widespread attention for its unique approach to sexual wellness. By 2017, OneTaste was raking in millions in revenue and earning endorsements from celebrities like Khloe Kardashian and Gwyneth Paltrow. But, as with many stories of rapid success, controversy wasn't far behind. Allegations of forced labor, pressure to perform sex acts, and other predatory behavior began to surface, casting a shadow over the company. By 2018, even the FBI was investigating. So, join us as we navigate the disturbing world of OneTaste and the allegations that unraveled it all.
Yeah, the basement mold woke back up from death. I thought I killed basement mold, and then my basement flooded again because of the last rain, and then it got awake again.
No.
It woke up
That's not good.
down, and it was just like chilling and looking at me.
Ew.
It's like a pet now. It's like an Addams Family situation. Like I have like a spidery mold that lives in my basement now.
Oh my god, that's a nightmare.
I need to kill it. It's sad, but I kind of have like an affection for it.
Ugh.
I'm
I'm bothered.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh God.
You ready
Okay.
for this crazy white lady?
Yeah, I can hear you well now, so that's good. And I don't know what we're about to get into, but I'm interested in the title. Orgasm.
I'm always down to watch a crazy like white lady shaman guru person.
Yes.
Always down.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll have some insights here based on our experiences.
Are you gonna watch on your laptop and share your screen?
Yeah, does that make the most sense if I just share it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then I'll do that. Sharing the screen. I'm so excited. I love watching TV with like I this is so silly, but I feel so like happy whenever we watch Netflix together. It's so fun. Okay.
It's our like little movie night.
It's so cute. We're so cute.
We are cute.
Okay. All right, ready?
Yes.
Okay. Can you hear it?
Yes, I can.
Very good.
The only thing that ever heals, the only thing that ever awakens is connection.
I do think we have a pleasure deficit disorder in this country. It's getting faster and faster. Our world's getting really hyper-connected, but human connection is beginning to dissolve. I do think, though, that there is a cure, and that cure is female orgasm.
What does it mean to say that I am a practitioner of orgasmic meditation?
Okay, I paused.
Right, what are your first impressions?
Well, I think your first impression is spot on. Not a single Black person in sight.
Then there was one like a second after.
I must have been looking away from the screen, but I did look back in time for Peter Pettigrew, who was talking about how he was involved because he was horny.
Peter Pettigrew.
Guy's name.
Oh.
Bald dude with glasses. Yeah, I don't know if we have enough information yet, but I mean, already I think there's always like weird issues with sex and power dynamics when it comes to being a leader of an organization, and then especially when the organization is like about something that allows the leader to be put into sexual positions. Like,
yeah,
mostly you're gonna fall on your face and be sexually abusive, probably, unless you really thought about the boundaries with that. So just immediately, that's my thought. I don't know how this is not going to go well, is how it feels so far.
To me, my first impression is this is about the female orgasm, and it's being weirdly positioned as like the purpose of it is human to human connection. I
Mm.
don't think that's necessarily true, because you can have an orgasm, a wildly satisfying one, without any other humans around. And then it's like, it seems like it's kind of opening the door for dudes to take advantage of this like meditative experience that's for women.
Hmm.
So that seems kind of problematic.
That's an interesting point. I guess I feel like there could be some reasoning to women being able to have an orgasm like with the help of other people as far as community building, because it takes a level of vulnerability and connection to do that, I think, usually. But I also think it's kind of, I mean, yeah, to put it into like a public space and also for healing like purposes, which means that you're attracting people that are struggling with something that they feel like needs to be healed, which means that they're
Yeah.
vulnerable people. So now you're having them do like sexual things in public spaces. Yeah.
Also, attracting women, this is just, I'm just speculating because we're only like 5 minutes in, but attracting women that need healing and then also attracting dudes that are like, well, I was just horny.
Yeah.
That's not great. That's not a great
No.
combo.
No.
I don't love that.
What does it mean to say that I am a practitioner of orgasmic meditation?
For purposes of simplicity, I'm going to describe it as a man and a woman, just so that I can say he and she, but it can be all different crazy configurations.
Nicole is certainly a genius. Brilliant idea to name it an oming session, an orgasmic meditation.
Wait, can we stop there really quick? I wanted to just comment on that part that where she's like, well, for the purposes of this, we can just say he and she and man and woman, but you can do this with all kinds of crazy configurations. She said,
What's crazy about anything outside of man and woman?
yeah, like, first of all, and just also this entire thing reads to me as like straight AF, like watching these rooms full of people, they're giving like high level straight person energy. And I don't feel like I would ever feel super safe in a room like that. Like if this concept was done in a queer way and in a not just white people way, maybe. But that room, the energy is clearly like a bunch of straight men who want to get laid.
Yeah.
And it's really, and then she's talking about it like she's never thought about like any other kind of and also even just like the premise being the female orgasm, like even just at this point in my life, female feels a little bit like you weren't really thinking that deeply, you know,
Yeah.
like the feminine
Also,
orgasm, I don't
why
know.
is it every frame we see of her sitting, she is man-spreading so hard?
Oh yeah. There's, I mean, yeah, I don't really mind the way that she's like sitting, but it's also very interesting because the way that she presents herself is very much as like, I don't know, like her body language tells you that she's almost like constantly in a state of like sensually being turned on, even though she's like in an interview
Yeah.
setting with like business clothes but no bra, but like yeah, like I don't know, man, but yeah, like her legs askew, like, and then the half closed siren eyes all the time.
Yeah.
And also even the way that she talked about, she's like, everybody thinks of sex as black and white and it's either this like terrible thing or it's this great thing, and it's like, I just don't think I just don't think you've ever been queer, and I also just don't think you've ever like had like is it just me when I have sex that I'm not like I guess there was a younger age of myself where there's a lot of pretense, but it's after a certain point, don't you grow into a space where you're just like experiencing something with someone else? And I feel like this woman is describing sex as if that's never been what it was for her before she made it into a cult. And so that
She describes sex as if it's a power thing, which is very like patriarchal to
that's
me
very
and
straight
not
for
very
me.
queer. I mean, she doesn't have to be queer,
Doesn't have to
but
be
as a
queer.
newly queer person myself, sex isn't a power thing. It's an
Newly queer.
experience you have with another person.
Yeah. Yeah, like and it is a power thing. You know, I think that it is a power thing a lot of times. but it's definitely a power thing the way that it has been in her experience, according to how she's describing it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't know. It just all sorts of crazy configurations. Like
Crazy. Outrageous.
outrageous. Okay.
What's crazy is living in a warehouse with 40 people and the expectation are these dudes are going to get laid all the time and it's for your highest good as the female person there.
Yeah.
That just sounds like a recipe
Yeah.
for disastrous things to happen.
Yes. Plus, I'm kind of on the lookout for like, because I've seen a lot of men that otherwise would probably have trouble getting dates. And I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of very attractive and presumably emotionally broken women so far. Like a lot of these women are like beautiful and young and attractive women. So
And the dudes are, I mean, I maybe saw one that was like younger and like comparable in age and physical attractiveness, but the rest seem like older dudes that probably struggle to have sex at the frequency they would probably like to.
yeah. And that's fine. Like the main guy that's being interviewed so far, it seems like he could be fine as like a kink life kind of person. But part of the thing about kink life, if you have a kink and that becomes your culture, first of all, there is a lot of toxicity in a lot of those groups, but also like a lot of it is about you set those boundaries and you make sure that the scene is set up and that there's consent and that there's like a lot of rules that go into kink culture that make it so that if you can do that right, you can participate in some pretty extreme kinks and still be safe or still like have, safety mechanisms in place. So I will have to wonder how much of that has been thought about in this situation. Like, are there consent words? Or do they literally arrive and they just get assigned a bed to sleep in with someone of the opposite sex, which is what it sounds like he just said.
Ugh.
All right, good. Continuing on.
Yeah, I'm at 10:11.
Okay, let me get there.
The stroking practice was phenomenal. And for me as a human being, putting that much attention on just that one little tiny spot on your index finger, touching a woman's clitoris, just stroking. And from that one point, it opens up all these channels as a man that I just never even knew were accessible to me. The idea that her toe would wiggle and I could feel a little tingle in my finger that was like connected. And it was like, what? Like, how is that even possible? So these are things that unfolded in the practice. Of course, when I started, I had no idea what I was doing. And I was lucky if I could even get on the clitoris.
The guys here said, all I want is to have more sex, please, please. But they didn't realize they had immersed themselves on an island of women who want to have sex. And so they were having like 20 ohms a day. Their little fingers were in braces and they were like locking themselves behind the door. Nicole, get me out of here, please. No more sex.
Okay.
That was wild.
Okay. I have so many thoughts actually, but do you have any thoughts first?
I have so many thoughts.
Okay.
First of all, okay, I feel like the dudes that are being interviewed so far seem to be well-intentioned. Like I don't get total ick vibes from them.
From some.
Like from the little guy, he seems like he kind of gets things.
That's fair. I do feel like there's people that are obviously talking like they're in it for some kind of philosophical reason.
But I mean, if you're a guy that is attracted to women and have struggled your entire adult life to have the sex life you want or the women you want, then there probably is some kind of deeper meaning to being involved with something like this when there's so much exposure and availability to women.
Yes, but it is like I said in the chat, it's like the Burning Man spiritual awakening of orgasms. It's like these people who are like, this is a profound world-changing event that I made a woman orgasm. And it's like, dude, it's just like, it's like not like we're on different levels, I guess. But
yeah.
Also, funniest question of the show so far: what happens when you expose your clit to someone? That's a classic line. But the real reason I really wanted us to pause was because, and this is just going to be a whole aside, but it's what's clicking in my brain right now, that this is a parallel to my whole philosophy about Hermeticism and the Philosopher's Stone. Follow me. So it's like the whole thing about Hermeticism, the whole thing about trying to, trying to like unlock all of those secrets about esoteric knowledge and sacred geometry. And that's like one of my big special interests, is like all this sacred geometry crap. And you get really, really far down that rabbit hole. And the big secret trick of the whole thing is that it was a bunch of white men who like recognized that there was something really special and transformative about femininity. And then they tried to appropriate it. And then they tried to control it. And then they tried to be a part of it. And by doing so, it like ruined it. So like you are limited in your ability to understand things, I think, when you're just looking at it through those lenses, because it was all a bunch of straight white dudes talking about it.
Ugh.
So it's like the same thing where it's like, okay, we can recognize that there's something that is divine about womanhood, or about the feminine, or about even, let's say, eroticism, which Audre Lorde writes a lot about, eroticism, and how I probably have mentioned that quote before, because it's like one of my favorite, I don't know, one of my favorite things that she writes. And she's Aquarius, so of course I have to mention someone's zodiac sign every episode. But Audre Lorde writes about eroticism and how it's different from like when you're really engaging in something erotic, you're exchanging energy with another person, and you're like co-creating an experience with that person and sharing in the experience. But it gets twisted and flipped into like perversion when you are engaging with that person, trying to control, or like trying to have them play a role in your experience. And so you end up kind of just using and abusing the other person instead of both like going to a new level through your shared experience. And I just feel like it's not intentional on anybody's part, but this is all like still within society that hasn't been deconstructed yet.
Right.
And so just by nature of that, it's like anytime a man is going to come in and try to be like, oh, I want to have some of that magic of the woman's orgasm. Nope, you can't. You missed it. You should have just listened and let them do their thing. And instead you wanted to like be involved. And then by doing so, you kind of kill the magic. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
This is truly like something that I see happen in a lot of different philosophical spaces. Like you miss the point as soon as you try to tokenize and use things.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm taking issue with, I know this is like a whole branded thing, it seems, with OneTaste and oming, which is orgasmic meditation, which I also take issue with calling it om.
I didn't even understand that was supposed to be like an acronym. Gross. That's exactly
Right,
what
it's
we're
terrible.
talking about. Where it's
Like,
just
it's very
like
appropriative.
You're sexualizing somebody's culture.
Yeah, so that's problem number one.
God.
Also, like the whole like branding this singular movement of a finger, the stroking practice that's part of oming, it's just so limiting. First of all, like let's not reduce the female orgasm to that one move on one particular spot. Like it cannot be.
To be fair, she also mentioned
all.
all kinds of other crazy stuff that you could do. But but yeah, no, like I would be so, and I wonder if that's an autism thing. Let's get TMI here. I would be so overstimulated by one finger for 15 minutes. Like, get away. Like, start rubbing my foot and work from there for your 15 minutes.
Like, so also as a fellow autist, like it bugs me. Like if I'm dating someone and we're driving in the car and they put their hand on my knee and like rub one spot of my knee with their thumb, I'm like, get the fuck off of me.
Overstimulating, overwhelming. I like that in some moments when I'm comfortable with someone, definitely not just like in public as a rule. That's weird. But yeah, it is like, it's like literally painful sometimes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's not just uncomfortable. It's like sometimes that shit can get painful. Like if you are doing, and I've had way too many unpleasant sexual experiences with people that just men that just didn't know enough about what they were doing, and then they just like don't have the right level of pressure or something, and too much is just as bad as too little. Like it's just all anyway. I can't even imagine getting up on a table and then having this man who clearly wants to be a dungeon eunuch come and like rub one out for exactly 15 minutes on like
in one spot. And as someone that's like in a fairly new queer relationship, which has opened a whole new world up for me, a TMI, we use lube for literally everything. Like they do not touch me without like a glob of lube. And I first thought, well, like you don't really need it. And they're like, oh, you just wait. Just relax.
When the dicks are fake, the lube has to flow. The lube must flow.
The lube must flow. Like we go through so much lube. And I used to think like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need lube. Well, yes, I do, because it's wonderful. So I can't imagine someone rubbing on my clit with their dry ass finger for 15 minutes. And I know, like, if you have female anatomy, you create your own, but like the added lube has been life changing. I cannot imagine doing this bullshit without it.
And just like the singularity of the motion, which seems to be part of the procedure. Like you can't make allowances for differences in different human bodies, or like the differences of the context and how long. Like that's just wild to me that it's like a one size fits all apparently.
Yeah, like you can't, not even two clits are the same. So how is it one size fits all?
Especially because this seems to be like a central focus on women's pleasure, but really that set of rules just betrays this, like, hey, what this actually is like making it as easy as possible for these men. Because why is it like, don't you see women as people and understand that there's like different ones? Like
right, it's very objectifying of a very singular part of a woman's anatomy.
It's weird.
And it's branded and it's sold to men, basically.
It is very objective. You're right, it's objectified. And even like, again, I always go back to like the meaning of the word fetish is that you're basically taking a part of someone's body. That's what it is to fetishize it, is to kind of separate the part from the whole. So it's like anytime you're taking a part of someone's body, that you're fetishizing it, and that means that you're like taking away the humanity from the thing. And this is clearly like a vagina fetishization kind of a thing, because they're very focused on it. Like, why wouldn't, if you actually care about a woman's pleasure, why aren't you asking her what she would like at all during this process? Like, at any point, it's all about what this leader lady is telling you to do, and it's as if the woman can't and I guess it sounds like some of these women are coming here being like, yeah, I've never had an orgasm before with like a man, and I know that happens. That's not the life I've lived, but I know that happens. And I get that maybe you need some guidance on kind of how to have your first experience, but like if these people are then in the situation, living together, sleeping together, like I really hope that there's a little bit more complexity and involvement of like what they actually want.
Right.
As they learn what they want even.
And I feel like with situations like this, with companies like this, when there's some kind of guru at the top with a specific procedure that's branded and sold and packaged to people, and it's targeted towards people that are vulnerable, that are hurting, that have healing they need to do. It's like, if the one size fits all doesn't work, if you invest in it, you do all the right things, and say all the right things, it doesn't work for you.
You're made to feel terrible, like it's your fault, like as if it's your fault.
It's like it's giving manifestation culture, kind of.
It
like
is, though. It's
If you
kind
don't
of
have
like
the right
that.
mindset, then it's not going to work for you, and there's something wrong with you. Nothing wrong with my procedure. It's just you.
Well, yeah, it's clearly like a branch of kind of yoga, shamanic, fake shaman lady culture, whatever that is. The other thing that really bothered me was there was this little shot of somebody, they had some woman who is gorgeous, some Europeanly standardly gorgeous woman, right? And she's naked and she lays stomach first, and then I don't even, it was like B-roll, but they draw a marker on her, and then she kind of stands up and she's got like pasties on, and everybody claps like she's supposed to be healing her and feeling more beautiful or something. And I was thinking, like, I have no shame in my body. I would definitely at some point in my life, I would definitely not put it past myself to join some kind of nudist colony at some point in my life, right? I am very comfortable with myself nude. I do not have a European standard body. I think my body's beautiful. I bet I wouldn't even be allowed in this cult. Like, I don't even think there's any way I would be up there, because they clearly are somehow getting these women that are just like, this is not representative of diverse bodies at all.
All the body types all look very similar
Of the women
another.
in particular, they're all thin, light-skinned women that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
All of them with like very perky tits, which is great. Good for you. But really,
perky small tits, perky butts, small waists. They all look the same.
Which is great. This is wonderful, but just striking. Yeah. All right, good. Okay, back to more.
And so she starts playing this game with me, which is pulling desires. And so she says, what do you want? So, you know, she's pulling them out. So I say, I want to have more sex. I want to have more orgasm. I want to have more fun. I want to have more community. So she's going to, come on, what else? What else? What else? What else? This is how this goes. And so finally I get down in my belly, in my womb, to like, oh, wow. And I had never spoken it out loud. And I said, I want to have a baby. And I was like, oh. And she's like, not so fast. What else? I was like, that's it. What else? And so finally I say, okay, I want to have a demo. A demo is a demonstration of a woman in orgasm for an hour. And Nicole goes, oh, and she looks around. Did you hear that? We hit bottom. That was it. That's the bottom desire. And so here I have said in front of all these people that I want to have a demo, knowing full well that that was not at the bottom. That was Nicole's desire. So I was just fully giving over to Nicole.
Okay, I just wanted to comment on curly-haired lady's interview because, yes, beautiful curly hair. And also that story is chilling. She talks about how the cult leader lady is like digging for her deepest desire, and she gets there and says, I want a baby. And then she says, what else? Dig deeper, until she says, oh, I actually want, like, whatever that was, a demo, which is where you have an orgasm for an hour in front of people.
Yeah.
And the cult leader is like, yes, good, we reached the bottom. Why, in what universe is an hour-long sex demo more the bottom than I want a baby? That's so disturbing. And it's so like priming. Terrible. It's priming. It's brainwashing. The way that she talks to people is brainwashing, getting triggered.
Yeah. I mean, she shared something with a room of people that she said she'd never shared with anyone before, her desire to have a baby. And it seemed like there was no honoring of that or acknowledging that at all. Like, there was no space held for her in that moment at all.
No, and it's like you're being put in such a vulnerable place and then getting undercut by, like, it's so brainwashy by, like, no, what you actually want is this. Chilling. I don't like this lady at all.
And who wants to do hour-long fingertip stroking directly on your clit for an hour? What?
I guess that the idea is that it's a spiritual experience, supposedly, but it's not. It's a fetishistic experience, which is fine if you have this fetish. It's not fine if you're getting tricked into it because you think you're gonna achieve some kind of spiritual thing and you're falling short. Because the other thing that we didn't pause for, in addition to calling Gwyneth Paltrow out for Goop being involved in this gross, and Khloe Kardashian, gross of you all, is that guy that was like coming in and trying to say, I want to find something deeper. And she says to him, you play it off like a cool guy, but you're actually a dark and dangerous man. He looked like he was like just above a teenager at that time.
Yeah.
And he took it as like really profound. And it's like a negging, like she negged him and made him feel like he was fundamentally a piece of shit. And then that's why he joined the cult. And it's so gross. There's already like 2 horrible interactions of her just like getting people to be put into the most vulnerable position possible and then undercutting them with what she thinks they are, which they have to take as profound, even maybe because of like peer pressure. This is so gross already.
And
Plus,
her
I don't like
with
this.
Her interaction with that man was so brief. There was no getting to know him. Like, they had no other interaction other than that.
He called it
She was just
cold
going
reading.
around the room asking people whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like that snap judgment she made about him was racist because he is a dark-skinned person, dark
He is
hair,
dark skin.
very
Oh my
dark
God.
eyes.
She literally said a dark, dangerous. I didn't even like, you're completely right because he has dark skin. Ew.
Yeah.
This white bitch. Okay, I don't like her at all.
He seems like he was very sweet-natured. He doesn't seem like this like ominously horrible dark person. He literally has dark features.
He seemed like also I think he might end up being somebody that breaks out of this cult because he seems like the way he talks about it is like the cold reading like he said that she was cold reading everybody, and it's like that is what she was doing. Oh my God, that's terrible.
It immediately read racist to me.
Oh my God. No, I didn't to me because I'm ignorant, but you're right. Like now that you said that, you're completely right. Gross. I hate that.
Is terrible. Is this like too triggering to watch?
No, I'm so into it. Like this woman is terrible.
How have I never heard about this person before?
I don't know. Gwyneth Paltrow and Khloe Kardashian hyping it up. Like,
ew.
Okay. Overstimulating.
People paid $60,000.
Yeah, the courses.
One-on-one coaching with her.
Classic, like weird MLM course bullshit. There was, yeah. Oh, if only there was like a call out creator that went after people like this, actually. Anyway.
Yeah.
Are you tired of feeling unsafe online? Do you want to learn how to protect yourself from cyberbullying, doxing, and other forms of online harassment? Then look no further than Doxxed the Podcast. Visit the website doxxedthepodcast.com to sign up for the Doxxed free ebook full of helpful tips and resources for online safety. Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive the weekly newsletter with the latest updates on upcoming content. There are many ways to connect with Doxxed, including Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Discord. Have a story to share or feedback to give? Use the contact form on the site to reach out or leave a voice message to be featured on the show. And for exclusive content, subscribe to the Doxxed Supercast to gain access to the private podcast feed with member-only exclusives. Take control of your online safety and join the Doxxed community today.
Wow. Okay. You ready to keep going?
Yes.
All right, cool.
There is an intimacy that I feel with my partner, the bed, the plants. The world becomes one giant network of neurons, and this entity that I call Nicole is part of this.
If you're looking at that footage from the Stinson demo, what you're seeing is batshit nuts. Come on. Someone's up there completely naked, getting her pussy stroked. There's like someone with snakes there and right? Like all this stuff. Like what is going on?
Okay.
What the fuck? Oh my God. Why was there a snake? Oh, so much to unpack. Oh,
not her just literally doing some porn in front of a bunch of journalists, which is great. It's good for her. There is so much to unpack, but seriously, like, so they're describing some people, and of course this like worm tongue man, he needs like a He needs like a monk robe with like literally a rope tied around his waist, man. He is and he's clearly for it because this obviously made his life much better. This entire situation was good for him so far. So he's going to be pro this woman. But then this other woman is also describing how there really was something real feeling in that room. And like, yes, and okay, two truths at the same time, because first of all, this is completely just trying to harness feminine sex magic for the purpose of capitalism. And that is my one sentence summary of the entire problem. And also at the same exact time, this is also when is this taking place? I don't even know, but it's before now. And there really is a dearth of representation of feminine orgasms. So that's actually kind of radical to do literally porn of an hour of you doing an orgasm in front of a bunch of journalists. Actually radical though. And so yeah, like there would be sympathetic energy in the room, and that would be like probably a pretty transformative experience for people who've not seen that represented before, or just like that's a pretty societal breaking kind of a move, even though it's in service of like, but just in that moment, yeah, of course there would be something like really alive about that in the room. It's just that then you sell it for a bunch of money and destroy it and murder it and manipulate it and use capitalism and abuse people with the power of sex instead of doing actual eroticism. But wow, okay,
yeah, insane. The whole like occult style ritual with the stroking, it yes, it is kind of like just like basically just doing porn, which like you said is fine, but also it just seems like she's just living a fantasy that other people happen to be funding. Like
but and being disingenuous about what's going on too, because like if you just have like a fetish where you want to get off in front of a bunch of journalists for an hour, then you shouldn't be getting vulnerable women who need to deal with some like sex and mental health issues and getting them to be super vulnerable in public and then brainwashing and manipulating them. You should just go do porn. That's fine to do. You don't have
and
to.
the guy that was doing the demo with her on video in front of the journalists was titled a master stroker. Two things. One, what the fuck does that mean?
Also, why not a masturbator? God damn it.
And two, the after clip where he's like talking about what had just happened, and he refers to her as a fully trained woman. Like, this is what happens with a fully trained woman. What?
I didn't
What
even
does that even mean? No woman needs to be trained on how to orgasm.
Yeah. Again, I get like a first step of like, let's try something if you've never had an orgasm before, and then you learn about your body or something. But not like never ask this woman and train her to learn how to like what? Ew. We don't like it.
I don't like the language of training a woman on how to orgasm this one specific way. I don't like that some guy has the title of being a master at making like all women it's just no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
No, it reminds me of like wolf kink vibes. Like it's like that thing of where you're like it's like bestial or something. Like you don't train like what? Okay, sorry. Yep, I got broke.
We're both glitching right now.
It's because the whole energy of this whole show is overstimulating in the same way that their goddamn finger is. It's the same level of energy, which is too much, you guys.
Did you catch in one of the clips? It was like a clip of like the website, and there was a GIF of animated fingers just like rubbing a circle. I'm like, that's what they're doing. What? I don't like it. What is that little like with the finger? I don't like it. For an hour and $60,000.
Yeah, and you're paying to be there and watch this woman make porn. And it's literally just because she wants to like displace herself from the shame of feeling like she's a person who makes porn, but while still making porn. So like, just God, no, stop hurting all these people to do that.
Just make the porn. Just make the porn.
Just make some porn. You could make about the same amount of money and hurt way fewer people, honestly.
I mean, at least they could have a couple other moves or something. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Yeah. All right.
So I have a story, and I am no victim. The problem with the victim story, it takes away your power. If you want to know the real way to deflect rape, it's to turn on 100%. Because then there's nothing to rape.
Yep, we're pausing there. Did she just say what I thought she just said?
Me?
Did she just say what I thought she... I'm just gonna go back really quick. We're gonna go back. We're gonna... Okay, hold on. I'm going back to like... I'll reset to whatever your time is in a second.
Not taking responsibility for my sex. So I...
Because like, did she just say what I thought? Hold on. Where was it? Where was it? Oh my God.
It takes away your power. If you want to know the real way to deflect rape, it's to turn on 100%. Because then there's nothing to rape.
If you want to know the real way to deflect rape is to turn on 100%, because then there's nothing to rape.
What?
I have never heard of such a fucked up thing come out of... Oh my God. That's like worse than the way that the old ass white men congressmen word it when they're trying to make laws about like abortion. Like that's like worse than that rhetoric. Like what, ma'am?
So if a man forces himself upon you, if you just don't resist and just decide to be turned on instead, then it's not rape. Is that what she's saying?
I think that is what she said.
And if you don't do that, then your trauma and your victim story is your own fault because you could have just been turned on instead.
It's just very much giving your trauma is your own fault. And it's still giving like wolf kink. Like, what is this weird, like idea that everyone is this fundamentally flawed person? What is her name? Nicole? This
Nicole Daedone.
Cult leader. It's like, and that whole description of her ex-husband talking about how she was trying to imprint on him as her mommy in their first sex session. Like,
wait, no, that wasn't her ex-husband. The ex-husband was a different guy that looked exactly like that guy. It was a different guy.
Oh, okay.
But I had something else to say, but then she said the whole thing about rape, and that
was very triggering.
Terrible.
That's very disturbing.
She said that into a microphone in front of a room of people.
Mm-hmm.
A whole room full of people.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody gasped, nobody gulped, nobody threw a chair, nothing. What?
It's a very straight room, I guess.
And her response to the guy that had some like pretty valid criticisms for her, saying that it's important to tighten up this orgasmic meditation practice because it's attracting men that are taking advantage of the vulnerability of women. I mean, that's what I took away from what he was saying.
Yeah.
And she was like, it sounds like you want to protect women, and women need to take responsibility for their own victimhood. Like, what?
Yeah. I'm shook by this statement. I hate this. I don't like this. This is a cult for sure, and this woman is terrible.
I don't understand how white women like her can stand on a soapbox and say all kinds of crazy shit and build a whole cult, literal cult by them, and profit off of it. I don't understand how it happens.
Because they kind of siphon out anybody that's not going to fall for it because they're really looking for these like very vulnerable people who haven't deconstructed shit and are looking for something because they feel like a big empty missing something. And they don't know what that is. And then there's this like reassuring, calming mother woman having sex with them and telling them that everything is, the answer is just do whatever she says and give her money.
I mean, it's exactly that. And I know this is going to get worse.
It's totally going to get, are you okay? Are we okay to proceed?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just like, I'm shocked that she said that about you just don't hear that from women, especially women that look like her. You don't hear that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's jarring to
Pretty
have
jarring, yeah. I agree. I did not like that at all.
Like some like alpha podcast dude to say something like that, not like a Karen.
Well, it's like a shock value thing. Like it reminds me a little bit of like Just Pearly Things or something, where you listen to Just Pearly Things give an interview for half an hour and you're like, you don't believe anything you're saying. You don't give a shit. You're literally just here because you think it's funny to like manipulate people. Weird. And I just feel like she just wanted to do porn, but instead have an identity of being like a mogul. And I just don't like her. I just don't think she's a good person. I think
there's so many women on this planet who have been violated by men at like, I want to say 1 out of every 3 women has been sexually violated by someone at some point in their life.
Absolutely.
From infancy to like it doesn't matter.
It's probably higher than the self-reported number because people sometimes don't even understand what is actually violation.
Right. Sometimes they have to be educated on what and how they were violated because you sit with the trauma without being able to identify what was abuse and what wasn't.
I've had that experience. I had an experience that like years later I described to a friend and I was like, you know, and I put myself in that position and my friend was like, nope, that was what that was. And I was like, you're right. I just didn't process it until you said that. You're totally
I've had that
right.
moment too, specifically after Me Too, talking to friends about stuff, and they're like, no, that was definitely sexual assault.
Yep, that was definitely what that was. And it's like, upon reflection, I find that you're correct, but it's been 7 years, and that whole time I didn't realize that. I just thought it was being a weirdo or whatever. Like,
but what I'm saying is though, like, female bodies and male bodies too, but I'm in a female body, so that's what I'm going to talk about. But whether you're an infant, a female infant, or an elderly woman, whether you're in a coma, whether your body is a corpse, all forms of female are violated by men, raped, molested, whatever. It doesn't, this whole like victim blaming thing makes no sense when our bodies in any form are violated by men. I just saw a story the other day of a girl that's been in a coma for 10 years.
Yeah.
Is pregnant.
Oh my God.
She's been in a coma in a hospital bed for 10 years and she's months along. Like, she can't be a victim? She should have just woken up and been turned on so there was nothing to rape? What the fuck?
That's so fucking disturbing. And then just like saying anything about I mean, you have to be a very, and also it's just, sorry, I'm a little glitching again, but like it's also just such a misunderstanding about this difference between eroticism and sexual control and power. And like it's a glaring misstep on your philosophy, ma'am.
Yeah. There's a whole history in mortuary science where they just don't hire men. Why do you think that is? I mean, come on. There's entire industries that avoid hiring men because of what they do to women's bodies, even when we're dead.
Well, and even like things like, was it Mary Queen of Scots or something? Like she had handmaidens who were like, yeah, we're going to absolutely be with this body until it gets buried. Like it was like a whole thing. And other of those wives that did not have handmaidens that did that for them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like even Marilyn Monroe's body, there's a whole rumor that her body was passed around for hours before it actually made it to the medical examiner.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she wasn't a victim?
Yeah.
This is disgusting.
That sentence was disgusting. Yeah. Yep. We're not even halfway through. Okay.
We're not even halfway through. Oh my God.
Thank you for listening. Find additional content at doxxedthepodcast.com.